Hey everyone, Georgie here with Ukraine Matters. Let's do this quick midweek update on the situation on the front lines because the biggest developments that are attracting attention right now is the situation that is developing on the south of Bakhmut axis. So in a couple of recent days and the last time we were talking, I told you that Ukrainian armed forces are looking to establish a corridor. If you see Bakhmut over here, and then we're gonna close up, and this is south of Bakhmut. And here, south of Bakhmut, Ukrainians were eyeing to create this corridor to Andriivka. This was something that was supposed to be going underway. And one of these operations, we were just waiting when something is going to happen, because as I explained to you previously, when Ukrainians took control of the heights, like to the northwest of Klishivka, it created a very favorable positions for them to work. And while Russians were trying to defend this region, the positions that they lost around northwest of Klishivka were very, very crucial to their defense. And this corridor, as you can see, now is completely in blue, and Russians are actually, as reported, I cannot yet fully confirm it, but they're also leaving Andriivka. Why is this important? Well, as something that I've learned about like warfare in the last year and following this war, very often defenses, they don't really center about specific points like on the map, like this village, that village, this village. No. It's actually what's more important is to have a cohesive defense line. So that the enemy cannot then flank you, it cannot go around. So it is all often a very solid line that needs to be held all together. So even if, for example, a certain one chain link in this chain, like it's the best example is to think about it as a chain. So even if one link of this chain is broken, then the whole chain either stop existing or becomes extremely untenable. Or unattainable. You can fix me again on that. We saw this happen to Ukrainians as well. Remember when Solidar felt, because it was the line Solidar, Bakhmut, Krasna Hora, Pithorodny. So it's like, what was this defense line? So when Russians penetrated Solidar, they were able to break this chain, and then they slowly took chain piece by chain piece by chain piece and started the encirclement of Bakhmut operation. And this is the same kind of what we're expecting here. Because while Russians were defending this northern position and Klishivka, and they also have defensive positions over Kurdyumivka, they also put a lot of effort and built like a whole reserve force and like a proper defensive position here in Andriivka. So what happened was that Ukrainians that started pushing towards Andriivka, I don't know yet the details, probably some more tactically focused channels like Reporting from Ukraine is going to cover it in details. But Ukrainians were able to outsmart Russians and outmaneuver them and essentially break through Avdiivka and Andriivka, and they were able not just to break to Andriivka, but also enter the settlement, or enter the defensive positions that Russians are having there. And as a report standing right now, Russians are actually evacuating this. So the outcome of this most probably will be in the coming days and weeks, will be the fall of Kurdyumivka, will be the fall of Klishivka, and Ukrainians pushing Russians to the next defensive lines, which some of the people estimate will be Opetne, Otradivka, and Mykolaiivka Druga, because there is this river, the Bakhmutka River, where it's gonna continue on. But this is indeed good news, because this turns a battle for Bakhmut very, very strongly in Ukrainian favor. Control of the southern part of the village is opening a lot of good potential possibilities, especially because it's a closer position to the. Eventually, what would be really nice to have is capture or at least cut this main highway that is leading to Bakhmut for Russians. But that is what's happening in the south. On the north side, Russians are weeping a little bit because they're saying that Ukrainians have entered this village of Zelyznyanske and that they are moving southwards to try to cut off Russians in Dubovo-Vasilievka, which is right over here. And this basically, Dubovo-Vasilievka, this is not specifically the settlement that is interesting here, but the height over here and height over here. These are the two heights that I talked about, that they're very important to control anything that is kind of north of Bakhmut. So Ukrainians are basically trying right now to squeeze Russians from the north and squeeze them from Berkhivka. And yeah, Russians might control the heights, but Ukrainians will just kind of encircle them from both sides. That's the plan. We don't know yet how successful this will be, but there is an attempt that is made. All in all, situation around Bakhmut for Russians is not developing very favorably, and Ukrainians are having a great success. So if you wanted some good news, there you go. Beyond that, it's important to also state that situation both in the area of Torske and in the north here, it's hard fighting, right? Ukrainians are reporting hard fighting, but I have some contacts from the area, and basically their message to me and to everyone that is watching this is that yes, it's hard, but it's never been easy, and we should just remember that Ukrainians will bury every single Russian that tries to come to them. I already explained that we should not be discouraged by certain small territory gain, but hard fighting are ongoing. Russians are trying to do the spoiler attack and generally cause a little bit of problems. There are small territorial gains on the south side, but we're going to cover them probably in the next part. Kind of the big news about the offensive is that they're again starting rumors that Ukraine is planning to do an offensive action, like a next wave of pushes. It is possible, but from what I'm following, I don't think that we should probably expect it in the coming days. Ukraine still have plenty of time for the weather to be still good. So we should probably expect, if anything major is going to happen, potentially mid-August to actually maybe even end August to September. I wouldn't really bet that much that we would see any significant offensive on the south. But then again, I don't know the plans of the offensive. This is all known by General Zaluzhny and General Staff. But one thing we know for sure is that Ukrainians are definitely not giving up on these plans. Obviously, offensive come with their own challenges. I talked about some of them before. And again, I'm going to make a video quite soon where I'm going to be talking about the problems with executing of the offensive and what's the consequences of this. But generally speaking, trust in the armed forces of Ukraine. Everything is going to be fine. Ukraine is doing a great job gaining territory at Bakhmut. They are preparing to go into offensive in south. This is kind of already said out loud. So trust in armed forces. Again, I'm going to continue repeating this. Slava Ukraini, and I'll see you next time. Oh, and I love you all.